there's a story in the news, not normally the topics we cover on the podcast, but this actually has to do with the football superstar Tom Brady and his marriage to the supermodel Giselle Bundchen. And you were telling me that Giselle Bundchen is sort of had it with Tom Brady. Talk a little bit about what her issue is, and then we can talk about the underlying.
What her beef is.
What is her beef?
So first of all, they've been married 13 years. They have a couple of kids. And her beef is that, she's always been there. She kind of like let go of her career to stay home with the kids, to be a mom to her kids, and support him in his NFL career, right?
Stardom, yeah.
Stardom. For 13 years she's done this. So apparently Tom Brady, and we don't, just so you know, we don't follow football at all. I mean, we just don't. But apparently he retired, like semi-retired or retired in February, I think. And then soon after that came back. Like, I think he was retired for like 2 months. He announced his retirement and he came back. And so he starred again in this season's NFL. And so she's upset because she feels like, hey, wait a minute. You said you were going to retire, that we were going to, like, that you were going to be a family man. We were going to be a family. We're going to travel, do this and that with the kids, whatever. And he just decided, wait, I'm not done. I want to go back and play football.
Well, so here are a couple of thoughts I have about it. I mean, one, obviously, this is nothing motivated on their part by money. They are both independently
super rich,
extremely wealthy. She apparently had several $100 million. He has a fortune of his own.
Yeah.
So this is not motivated by money.
Yeah.
The second thing about it is that he probably has, I won't say an addiction to football, but I would say an addiction to fame.
Yep.
And so I think what's happening with him is that he was a superstar. Everywhere he went, it's Tom Brady, Tom Brady. Now, you remain a well-known figure when you exit. But there was a book, and I think I mentioned this on the podcast before. It was written about the post-presidency of, I think it was Truman, if I'm not mistaken. It might have been another president. But the biography was titled When the Cheering Stopped. The point being that when you exit the public stage, and this will happen, this will happen to Serena Williams in tennis. Mm-hmm. It'll be like, there's Serena Williams. Everyone knows.
Federer just retired.
Federer is officially now retired.
Yep.
I mean, and these are people who are legends. They're not going to be forgotten. I don't think it's going to be the people like, who, Serena Williams, who's that? No, they'll know who it is. But on the other hand, it's no longer she who's winning the Grand Slam. Mm-hmm. She's not the one to watch at Wimbledon. She's just somebody that people recognize in the stands. Yep. Tom Brady doesn't want to be that guy. But
he's 45 years old.
He's 45 years old.
He's 45 years old. So basically they're saying, okay, this is his last season. But I think that she's like ready to move on. And it'd be a real shame because,
I mean, if they have a good marriage, and their pictures look absolutely idyllic, right? They look like
look at this photo.
This is like the picture-perfect American family.
Yeah, they make the cutest couple ever, and so it's really,
and with the kids.
And with the kids, they have 3 kids, not 2. They have 3 children.
Look, I mean, if this guy's got a bug and he wants to play 1 or 2 more seasons and that's all he can do, I would say let him. Let him get it out of his system. It's not the end of the world. You have to look at the larger perspective of life. I mean, interestingly, we were married in 2016, and I still remember this is when we were courting, and you were talking to the guy who was kind of managing my schedule, and he showed you my forthcoming list of travel and events.
And I said that was insanity.
You said your heart sank. You were like...
It did. It really did, because I was like, okay, first of all, from a outside perspective, I thought this is not good for any human being.
Well, it was at a time when I was doing 40 to 45 lectures a year. I would fly cross country at the drop of a hat.
Yeah. So I was like, it's my goal to get you to calm down a little bit.
which actually you have, but you did
not
it.
That
You did
much.
it in a very...
Not as much as I'd like.
Well,
Yeah.
Debbie's views are because I have the podcast.
Yeah,
You know, I should really be moderating my speaking and doing maybe an event a month.
No, I didn't even say an event a month. That was your thing. You want to do an event a month. I was like, no, you don't need to do any events.
Right.
But, yeah.
Well, but
Yeah.
admittedly, like the next couple of months, almost every weekend,
Yeah.
I'm doing something. Part of it is driven by, of course, the midterm election. Things should quiet down after that. But I mean, this kind of balancing act. Now, it's also the case, we should add, that you were traveling with me 80%, maybe 90%
Yeah, and
of the
I don't
time.
like it. So
Yeah.
that's why I was like, okay, I can't do that. That is just not for me. So I go with you now, maybe.
Well, you also have
Yeah.
the COVID and the germophobia, which
Yeah,
has kicked in.
which is
Which has
hilarious.
slowed you down.
But I mean, yeah, it has. But just really the travel and the flight as you know, I don't like flying, so that's kind of bad. But yeah, I mean, maybe someday you'll sit back and enjoy your golden years because we're not getting any younger.
We're going to get there at some point. Well, Debbie's point is that you also have to remember that your work is for your life and not the other way around. You don't live just to work. And it is true. It's easy to lose sight of that. I think men in particular are very driven to succeed in the kind of world out there. I think that to some degree this is naturally even more true of men than women. Women will often balance things out or take a step outside of the legal world, raise kids for a few years, go back into it. And that seems to be a transition that women manage certainly better than men. We can certainly see this in the case
Yeah.
of Tom Brady. So I actually hope that they don't part ways just because they disagree about what to do in the next football season. They look at the longer term, and if their family is as strong as it looks like it is from the pictures, I hope that they keep it going.